All right, Shalom, Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. My name is YAH. I'm with my brother Kased Yasharal. How you doing, brother? Shabbat Shalom. Kased, you on mute?
Oh yeah, my bad. Shabbat Shalom. How's it going?
All praises, all praises. How are things on your side of the earth?
Yeah, things are fine and they're going along, you know.
Are you getting any protests down there with the whole Israel-Palestine situation?
Um, my wife says yes. She says there is things going on because I don't always tune into the Dutch news, but apparently there are protests and why are they protest? What, for what?
Today, for the King's Day, they were protesting against the royal house, and they are
Mm.
protesting what was going on.
Okay, so they were protesting against the royal house here in the Netherlands, I guess because of their involvement in the war or their support of Israel.
Oh wow, wow. So they're they're protesting
Yeah,
the government.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So that's what's going on apparently.
Well, praise Yah. What we're seeing right now across the earth is people are taking their stances where, the world is quietly being prepared for the world war. And people are taking their stances, taking a side. You can't just stand aside and think that these situations in the world aren't going to come to your doorstep. They're coming everywhere. We're going to open up the class with some some current affairs that's going on now. Obviously, on every channel on TV, it's all about Israel and Palestine right now, and we're going to get into that as well. But what I really want to bring up is every time they're pushing something, they're pushing this whole Diddy case and Israel, Palestine, and Trump, being in jail and all that type of stuff. They're pushing all these things, but we always know something else is going on in the background. So I'm going to pull up an article real quick. What they slick just passed is they just renewed this spy bill, this surveillance bill that they have that expired. So I'm going to pull that up. Nobody's talking about that at all. But this is something that they quietly passed when they were passing TikTok and all this other stuff. What's really going on. So I'm going to go ahead and share this article. All right. All right. So Biden signs bill extending a key U.S. surveillance program after divisions nearly forced it to lapse. So he extended this surveillance program. And what is the significance of this law? This surveillance allows for them to surveil Americans. It was originally set up so that they could, basically surveil foreigners, to stop terrorism and all that. But what they did is use that as a legal loophole. So 6 amendments, they ultimately failed to get the support to change this bill before it got re-signed or re-put into effect. So one of the major changes detractors had proposed centered around restricting the FBI's access to information about Americans through the program. So they wanted to restrict the access that the FBI has and the CIA and all the government, organizations on Americans. The surveillance spy bill was supposed to be for foreigners, but they're using loopholes through the surveillance tool only. Though the surveillance tool only targets non-Americans in other countries, it also collects communications of Americans when they're in contact with those targeted foreigners. So who are the targeted foreigners? So at first it used to be what? The Islam, right? Muslims and this, that, and the other. Well, they have placed, in the past decade, they have placed the term Hebrew Israelites. They have considered us Hebrew Israelites and said that they are now the #2 threat. And if I'm not mistaken, might be considered now the #1 threat of terrorism in America. So if we are Hebrews, and we know many of our brothers and sisters are repatriating and heading back over to the land, and we are talking to them through this new bill, they can now surveil us because we have contact with foreigners. So this is something that they quietly passed while nobody was paying attention with all these riots and all these protests and all these, anti-Semitism. This is what they passed. So just understand that they have now allowed for way much easier access to our personal information. So be careful what you say. Be careful with your email, the sites that you go on. All this stuff is being surveilled. And if you're an Israelite and you are a nationalistic Israelite that has connections to other countries, they're surveilling that. So with Brother Cassette over there in the Netherlands, if he's considered a threat, then they can surveil everybody that's connected to you. So this is what just passed while we were worried about P. Diddy and Meek Mills. The next thing we want to talk about, we're going to continue on with these protests, right? So right now, across America, they're protesting in a lot of colleges. A lot of colleges are protesting right now. And this article here on the American Press, it's taking a look at the protests about the war in Gaza, and they're emerging across U.S. college campuses, including right here in Atlanta, right here in Emory University. They're protesting right now as we speak. And the students are somewhat getting treated very harshly by the local police departments. You know, they're coming in and they're making a big example because who's funding the police department? Who funds the Fraternal Order of Police? We already know. The same people that own the banking system are the biggest funders of all these power structures. So some of the universities that are students that have no real reason to protest other than, hey, we don't agree with how they're treating the Palestinians. Now, if Israel got a problem with a so-called organization called Hamas, that's one thing. But to enter into Palestine and wage war and kill innocent people, that's a problem. And a lot of these students are speaking up against that and saying, nah, we speaking up against America for supporting this, and we're speaking against the state of Israel for the treatment of the Palestinians. I don't think too many people out there protesting saying, hey, we protesting how you treating Hamas. They saying how you're treating the Palestinians. And some of these universities, Columbia University, you see Northeastern University, you got USC, Ohio State, George Washington University. They've been on the news a lot. California State Polytech University, New York, Emory, Northwestern, even the Fashion Institute of Technology, even the clothing designers is tired of it. Indiana University, University of Pennsylvania, UF, Arizona State University. This is going on all across the country. The young people are standing up against this system of oppression against poor people, because you best believe the Palestinians are poor people. And these are people that don't really have a big representation across the world. So, you know, the world is taking their stance. Now, what we're seeing in the news is we're seeing the Jewish community saying anti-Semitism and speaking out against the protesters and saying that it's so anti-Semitic, protesting against the state of Israel. Well, here's the problem with that. Because right now, as we speak, we're going to look at another article. Thousands of Israelis in Israel right now. I'm talking about right now as the Shabbat is about to end in Israel, if not already ended. Thousands of Israelis are joining anti-government protests against Netanyahu. You can turn on the news, you can see it right now. They are protesting. So even the Israelis have a problem with the state of Israel's strategy and how they're dealing with the Palestinians. Matter of fact, they're preparing to have a ground offense in Rafah, which is going to take the lives of a lot of innocent people. And when you look at the statistics, the people that are dying are women and children. Literally, the highest percentage of deaths are women and children in Palestine. So the whole world is taking a stance against the state of Israel. I don't really see too many people saying, I have a problem with Israelis or I have a problem with Jewish people. That's not what's going on. They have a problem with imperialism. They have a problem with being bullied, going into an area that's been occupied for long time before the Europeans got there, and pushing on people off the land and killing them. Now, hey, you bomb somebody, you attack somebody, you can expect some kind of retaliation. Well, we must keep in mind that this retaliation by Israel did not start with Palestine on October the 8th or 6th or whatever day that was. This has been going on for years. All right. So while all of this is going on, while the American people are protesting against them, state of Israel, the Israeli citizens are protesting, around the world they're protesting, America decides we're going to go ahead and fund them. We're going to give them more money. So while they passed that surveillance bill, they also passed that $95 billion package that they upgraded, which passed on this Tuesday, which is giving military aid to Ukraine. So they're saying $61 billion, $61 billion is going to Ukraine. Then 26 billion is supporting Israel. So you're taking $26 billion to support this offensive that's going on in the state of Israel right now. But at the same time, the actual Israelis are protesting against it. They're calling for new government. And it is crazy. They're literally calling, I think Netanyahu got like another 2 years in office. They calling for a re-election. They want an emergency election and they want that dude up out of there. So this is literally what's going on right now in Palestine, and America is funding it. They're literally funding Israel because the money that they're giving Israel is going towards the military. So keep in mind, the state of Israel is also beefing with Iran. So that's not smart when you see two people having a fight and you go ahead and you fund one portion of the fight, when that portion of the fight is a threat against you as well. You basically joining sides. So with Ukraine, they're joining sides with Russia. If Ukraine is beefing with Russia and you sending them $61 billion, you now making enemies with Russia. Not smart. Then they're sending $4 billion of that money. About 9 billion or here it is. 8 billion is for helping the allies in the the Indo-Pacific region countering China. So now you giving money to Taiwan and those small little areas over there to cause problems with China. So look at the people that you're lining up against. China, arguably the only country with enough people to occupy America. Russia, the second country with arguably enough people to occupy America. And then now you're beefing with Iran? Nuclear capable Iran? Not smart. So again, Israel, the Israeli citizens speaking out against this war. But if war goes on, do you think Iran gonna be asking the Israelis, hey, are you for the war or not? They getting pulled into it. So ultimately, the same situation that can happen to the Israelis is the same situation can happen to us in America when these world wars kick off. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the class. The title of the Shabbat study today is, let me go ahead and pull it up. The life and good, or death and evil before you. We purposely started the class with all these stances. We're seeing that the world is taking a stance. You know, so much is going on. You could just sit and watch it on TV. These are students, these people that are going to college. A lot of them are getting suspended. They're getting kicked out of school. They're going to jail. They're getting jail records. And now when you got a jail record and you go into this Ivy League school, that's not good. You don't want that. That's going to cost you millions of dollars. But people are taking a stance. Even the people across the country, we talked about even opening up the class in the Netherlands, where Brother Cassette and his wife is at. They're protesting up there. So the world is taking a stance. Israel, what's your stance? What are you doing? And I'm talking about the biblical children of Israel. Yasharallah, what are you doing? What is your stance? Because before us is life and good or death and evil. And we have to take a stance. And based on our stance is what we're going to receive. So let's open up. Let's start the class. Let's open up in Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 30. Deuteronomy chapter 30. We're going to start this at verse 1. And this is an open forum. So if you have any questions, comments, or if you don't understand something, by all means, chime in. And we'll get to the bottom of it. So we're going to open up in Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 30. And we're going to start this at verse 1.
Verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, and you shall call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahweh your Elohim has driven you, and shall return unto Yahweh your Elohim, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul. That then Yahweh your Elohim will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations whither Yahweh your Elohim has scattered you. If any of your be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will I, Yahweh your Elohim, gather you, and from thence will he fetch you. And Yahweh your Elohim will bring you into the land which your fathers have possessed, and you shall possess it, and he will do you good and multiply you above all your fathers. And Yahweh your Elohim will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, to love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live.
All right, so that you may live. So Yahweh is going to circumcise our hearts, that's our minds. He's going to change the way we think and our children so that we love Yahweh, our Elohim, with all our mind and with all our body, so that we can live. So he's going to make that change in us. We have to submit our vessels, our temples, as a sacrifice to him so that he could make that change in us.
Verse 7. And Yahweh your Elohim will put all these curses upon your enemies and on them that hate you, which persecuted you.
All right, so these same curses that fell on us because we hated the Most High. Once we decide to love the Most High and live for him, them same curses that was on us is now on all the enemies that hated us and persecuted us. So all those struggles and problems and stresses that we dealt with is going to be on our enemies, because now he's no longer punishing us. He's now punishing those that hate us.
Verse 8. And you shall return and obey the voice of Yahweh and do all his commandments which I command you this day. And Yahweh your Elohim will make you plenteous in every work of your hand, in the field of your body, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle, and in the fruit of your land, for good. For Yahweh will again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your fathers. If you shall hearken unto the voice of Yahweh your Elohim to keep his commandments and statutes, which are written in the book of this law, and if you turn unto Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. For this commandment which I command you this day, it is not hidden from you, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that you should say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea, that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very near unto you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it.
All right, so we don't have an excuse. It's not like, oh, this word is buried in Israel in Qumran caves. It's in heaven. We don't have access to heaven. No, Mashiach died for us and sent us the Comforter, the Holy Spirit, which is the Spirit of truth. It's right here with us, near us, in our mouths, in our minds. But we have to choose to do it. If we choose to do it, life and good is in front of us. But if we don't, death and evil. Because again, what's in front of us? Good. You can do good, which is righteousness, and life is in front of us. Also in front of us at the same time is evil. And if we choose to do that, death is in front of us.
Verse 15. See, I've set before you this day life and good, and death and evil, and that I command you.
Us. He's not forcing us to do anything. This has to be our free will choice. You can't just stand here and life is going to fall here for you. You have to make that decision. You have to have a stance. You can't let other people make that decision for you. Because if you do, and you let others make that decision for you, the power structure is going to pull you right into death, like they're doing on television, in the media, in the music, in the schools, in the hospitals, in the government. It's going to pull you right into death because the devil, he can't produce life. All he can do is multiply death.
Verse 16. In that I command you this day to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that you may live and multiply. And Yahweh your Elohim shall bless you in the land whither you go over to possess it. But if your heart turn away, so that you would not hear, but shall be drawn away, and worship other Elohim or other gods and serve them, I denounce unto you this day that you shall surely perish, and that you shall not prolong your days upon the land whither you pass over Jordan to go to possess it.
All right. So if we turn our mind away, so we will not hear. So we just decide, you know what? We here, we good. Righteousness got us here, but hey, we good now. We don't need it. And we decide and we are drawn away because we're going to be drawn away by lust. Lust is what draws a person away to sin and entices them. And we worship other gods. And to worship is literally to bow down. So if we bow down to any other mighty one and do the works that they ask for us to do, then we are worshiping another mighty one. We're worshiping another God in the lowercase sense. And we are serving another power structure. So we can't do that. That is literally the idol worship. That is literally the thing that got us kicked out the land. That got us punished. It doesn't have to be Jesus or Allah or some, statue or idol. It's a person. Well, it could be, your father, your husband, your wife, your boss, the president, the grand master of the KKK or the grand master of the Masons or whatever. If you allow them to control who you serve and how you serve, then they're your master. They your God. They your mighty one.
Verse 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I've set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that you and your seed may live.
So again, I'm highlighting this choice. You have to choose this. You have the religious Israel that's saying, oh, all Israel gonna be saved because you black. You just gonna be saved. He's telling you clearly here, you have to make a choice. Your bloodline and who your daddy is and your uncle and what tribe you from, that's not going to guarantee you life. That might guarantee you extend your life a little bit longer because you might get a little bit of mercy because of who you related to. But at the end of the day, you have to make that choice for life or you will die.
Verse 20. That you may love Yahweh your Elohim, and that you may obey his voice, and that you may cleave unto him, for he is your life, and the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Yeshach, and to Jacob, to give them.
Praise Yah. And we think land, we think the physical land, right? We think the land of Israel, the physical land that he gave us to dwell on. Well, this temple is also considered Jerusalem. That's your body. Your body, your physical body was the land for the spirit of Yah, for the spirit of Mashiach, the word, the spirit of Israel, which means the prince of power or upright with God. That was created to house us. But now when we are kicked out of that, that spirit is out. That's like us being kicked out of the land. There's a physical and a spiritual. Let's move on. Let's go to Yahshua or Yahweh Shai, Joshua chapter 24 and verse 15. Joshua 24 and verse 15.
All right.
And we're going to read that through verse 28.
Okay, Joshua chapter 24 and verse 15. And if it seem evil unto you to serve Yahweh, choose you this day whom you shall serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh.
All right, so it's a choice. Who are you going to serve? You going to serve the gods that your parents served? So, you know, all the tradition that they taught you because you a good son? Or you going to serve these new gods in this new land of your captivity or new land of where you at? Or the new land that you're inheriting in the Holy Land, the gods that they were serving that caused them to get kicked out. Who are you going to serve? But Joshua, he's saying, as for me and my house, because he's the man of his house, he decides who his house serves. We serving Yah, because this house is for Yah. And every head of a household and every man has to make that decision of who this house is going to serve. You can't stand by and let your wife decide who you're going to serve, or stand by and let the government decide, or Facebook, or whatever's popular, whatever's cool, whatever's going to pay you to serve. You have to make a decision, because if you don't choose to serve Yah, you choose to serve the adversary, the devil, point blank, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally.
Verse 16. And the people answered and said, Elohim forbid that we should forsake Yahweh to serve other gods. For Yahweh, our Elohim, he it is that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, and which did those great signs in our sight, and preserved us in all the way wherein we went, and among all the people through whom we passed.
All right, so of course, we all gonna say, oh yeah, you know, we worship God, the Most High. Yeah, of course, I ain't gonna worship the devil. Nah, no, I'm not gonna worship my boss or the president or or whoever, the power structure, the banker, the corporation, or whatever's benefiting me. No, I'm not going to worship them. That's what we're going to say with our mouth. But when it comes down to making the decision between doing what is right according to YAH's standard and doing what is going to benefit us, our flesh, or our own individual house, we show who we worship. And Shabbat Shalom, Elder Zahar, good to see you, family. And Shabbat Shalom to my sis Yahanaya, Yasharala, good to see you. And that's right, Shabbat Shalom to Brother Will, good to see you as well. And that's right, scapegoats. Tamshi?
Joshua chapter 24 and verse 18. And Yahweh drave out from before us all the people, even the Amorites which dwelt in the land. Therefore will we also serve Yahweh, for he is our Elohim. And Joshua said unto the people, you cannot serve Yahweh, for he is a holy Elohim. He is a jealous Elohim. He will not forgive your transgressions nor your sins. If you forsake Yahweh and serve strange Elohim, then he will turn and do you hurt and consume you. After that, he has done you good.
I mean, what would you do if you bless somebody in advance? You feed somebody hungry and you give them food and you tell them, listen, you can come here, you can stay in my house, I'm gonna take care of everything. Just do righteousness in my house. And these are the laws of righteousness in my house. Then the brother turn around and steal, rob, kill, rape, do all this stuff. And then give all the thanks to your next door neighbor who did nothing to you in your house. What you gonna do? You ain't just gonna kick them out, you gonna put hands on them. Because how dare you, I brought you in my house, I took care of you, I did all this, and all I asked you was to be righteous, and then you not only not be righteous, you turn against me? Nah, the Most High ain't having it. We flawed individuals, so we can say we would deserve that because we've done that to the Most High, but not the Most High. So Joshua warned them, look, yeah, you saying that because you want to be the holy people. You want to be God's chosen people, but that comes with a price. You either going to walk in righteousness or you're going to get embarrassed in front of all the nations.
Verse 21. And the people said unto Joshua, nay, but we will serve Yahweh. And Joshua said unto the people, you are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen you Yahweh to serve him. And they said, we are witnesses. Now therefore put away, said he, the strange gods which are among you, and incline your hearts unto Yahweh Elohim of Yasharal. And the people said unto Joshua, Yahweh our Elohim will we serve, and his voice will we obey. So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day and set them a statute and an ordinance in Shechem.
All right. So, of course, when you about to receive the blessing, you about to get the paycheck, you about to get the loan, or you about to get whatever somebody going to give you. Oh, yeah. Sure. Whatever you say. Yeah. No problem, boss. We got it, boss. Because you want to get that inheritance. You want to take something that you didn't have to work for. You want to take advantage of somebody blessing you. But in your heart, you knew you were going to do it because you was in the wilderness with this foolishness. Caused even Moshe to be upset. The meekest man in the planet to be teed off. But of course, here go Israel. They, with their mouth, do they serve me, but their heart is far from me. Finish it up to 28.
Verse 26. And Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of Elohim, and took a great stone and set it up there under an oak that was by the sanctuary of Yahweh. And Joshua said unto all the people, behold, this stone shall be a witness unto us, for it has heard all the words of Yahweh, which he spake unto us. It shall be therefore a witness unto you, lest you deny your Elohim.
And that just show you the state of our people coming out of Egypt. We so carnal that Joshua had to literally make a stone be a witness, so that they'd be like, "Ah, we didn't say that." No, here go that stone right there. That's how carnal we are, that we have to have something physical to represent our covenant, to represent our promise. And that's also the reason why Mashiach had to come down here in the flesh, because we had to have something physical. Last verse.
Verse 28. So Joshua let the people depart, every man unto his inheritance.
All right, so every man, yeah, when you out to get your reward, of course, yeah, we gonna serve Yah. Yeah, when you got that wife, yeah, of course, I'm gonna serve Yah. When you got that job, when you didn't get killed, oh God, I promise you, I'm gonna serve you. But then we go right back to doing what we want to do. So how do we know who we serve? Let's go to Romans chapter 6, because everybody here clearly, according to this, if we read the scripts and in Joshua, they just said we're going to serve Yah. They saying it with their mouth. Well, how does your action show it? Romans chapter 6. Ramim chapter 6, and we're going to start that at verse 12.
All right, Romans chapter 6 and verse 12. Let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that ye should obey it in the lust thereof. Neither yield you your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto Elohim as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto Elohim. For sin shall not have dominion over you, for you are not under the law, but under grace.
All right, so here go English. English likes to use words that make it sound like you're not under the law. In other words, you don't got to keep the commandments. You're under grace because Christ died for you, so you can do whatever you want. No, they don't make any sense. All this is saying is because you don't have the penalty of the law, which is the original penalty, means you're going to die right away. You don't have that because animal sacrifices was instituted. And now you don't have to do animal sacrifice because of Mashiach, his sacrifice. So there's no penalty. So just think about this. When you're on the highway and you see that speed limit, it say 70 miles per hour on 78 or I-285, 85 or whatever. And you know, if you go 90 or 85 or whatever, is usually about 15 miles an hour over, you get pulled over, you could go to jail or you get a ticket. So once you get that ticket, you stop speeding or you slow down a little bit, or you at least get a speed detector, you do something because you know there's consequence. So what about if there's no speed limit? There's no enforcing of the speed limit. Ain't no highway patrol, ain't no police, nobody's pulling you over, just like during the pandemic when they weren't pulling nobody over. You think people gonna follow the law? People gonna go 150 miles an hour. So this is what happened in this time, because they did not have to pay for the sin with an animal sacrifice. They said, oh, well, we can do whatever we want.
Verse 15. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? Elohim forbid. Know you not that to whom you yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants you are to whom you obey, whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness?
All right, so there you
But
have
Elohim be thanked.
whom you yield yourselves servants to obey. So if you obey your flesh, then your body is your master. Your flesh is your master. You're a carnal person. If you yield yourselves to your emotions, then that's your God, your emotion. And emotions are affected by spirits. So whatever spirit, a spirit of lust, a spirit of anger, a spirit of sadness, whatever unclean spirit is causing you to walk against Yah, that's whom you are serving. So at the end of the day, all of those spirits that yield you to go against Yah are of the adversary, the devil. And all those spirits that yield you to listen to the Most High's instruction, those are holy spirits. So we have to choose who we're going to yield ourselves to obey. If the government tells us you need to go ahead and stick this concoction into your body that, according to the Bible, is unlawful and abominable, and we do that, then we are saying the government is our master. If our churches tell us to do that, our moray, our teacher, and sadly enough, some of our own Hebrew camps was telling folks to do this foolishness with this experimental medicine. That's your God, not Mashiach. Why are you saying, praise Yah, hallelujah, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Mashiach? No, he's not. You ain't praising him through Mashiach. You praising him through your elder or your moray. So at the end of the day, when you say, who do you serve? Who you yielding yourself to? These commandments, to Yah, or to the power structure, or to whatever is going to allow you to keep your comfortability in life, whether it's socially comfortable to be around a certain group, or whether it's financially comfortable so you can keep making the money so you can live the life you want to live. It ain't going to be based upon, like, when you go vote and you write Democrat or Republican, you check one or the other. This going to be your actions.
Romans chapter 6 and verse 17. But Elohim be thanked that you were the servants of sin, but you have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered you. Being then made free from sin, you became the servants of righteousness. I speak after the manner of men because of the infirmity of your flesh. For as you have yielded your members servants to uncleanness and to iniquity unto iniquity, even so now yield your members servants to righteousness unto holiness. For when you were the servants of sin, you were free from righteousness. What fruit had you in those things whereof you are now ashamed? For the end of those things is death.
So we have to ask ourselves, in our previous life, when we just did whatever our flesh wanted to do, when we did what we thought was right in our mind, when we did things without the knowledge of Yah's righteousness, how did it work for you? How did it work out? Because you're here now. You're not here because, man, life was so great as a sinner. Life was so great being like the rest of the world. Life was so great being ignorant that I just said I transcended into righteousness out of righteousness. It ain't work out. You might have gained things, and when you gained it and got it and realized, man, this ain't what I thought it was going to be. I thought if I got this, everything was going to be great. I thought if I made this amount of money, life was going to be smooth. Then you realize, well, wait a minute, Yah loves, chastens whom he loves. And we started getting chastened. So we got to remember those things when we start getting pulled back into the world, to these things we used to chase. And we have to think, how did that turn out? How was that? Was it really what I thought it was going to be?
Verse 22. But now being made free from sin and become servants to Elohim, you have your fruits unto holiness, and the end everlasting life. The wages of sin is death, but the gift of Elohim is eternal life through Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, our master.
All right, so verse 23. For the wages, that's your payment. That's what you're going to get paid for, right? The wages of sin. Didn't say the wages of sins. Sin singular. So when you sin singular, it means you make one sin, you are dead. That is what you are owed. Who's paying that debt? A man died for us to pay that debt. You think when he paid that debt for you and you decide you go work even harder, make more wage, that he just gonna say, hey, let me die again for you and cover your payment. He not dying again, bro. Let's move on. Let's go to YAH chapter 14. Because people right now are serving the adversary, the devil, and have no idea. People right now are imprisoned by the adversary, the devil, and have no idea. How do you know whether or not you're a prisoner of the adversary, the devil? Because you run around doing whatever you want. You feeling free. Look at your timeline. Look at your IG. It look like everything is all good. Your IG look like everything AG, all good. But in reality, what's really going on? So we're at YAH chapter 14. Let's start this at verse 1. And we're going to look and we're going to see the devil has his own people and he has his own prisoners. And we're going to see what he's going to do to his own people and his own prisoners.
Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Yasharal and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
All right. So it says he's going to choose Israel and set them in their own land. And it says strangers going to be joined to them. So this whole doctrine of all, it's just going to be black Israel and everybody else going to die. That don't add up. You can't read this Torah. You can't read these prophecies or the New Testament or the Sefer writings and still have that racist doctrine. Verse 2.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Yasharal shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
I mean, isn't that not fair? If you took us captive and you oppressed us, it's not fair that you now work for us. But see, the difference is we're not going to be beating you with whips and chains and putting yokes on you. You're going to be happy to serve the children of Israel. Because when you look at what the alternative is, and when you look at what happened when you were able to serve whoever you wanted to serve, however you wanted to serve, you remember how the earth was then. But now Israel in place, now the King of Kings is here. Life is good. So you happy to serve. That's the difference. And again, going back to that whole racist, the strangers is talking about northern Israel. Oh, really? So if the strangers is northern Israel, so when did northern Israel not be the house of Jacob? If you from Jacob, you the 12 tribes. I don't care what tribe you are, the south or the north. So if you read prophecy, a lot of these doctrines don't add up. You can blow them out the water easily. So again, the nations are going to serve Yah through the children of Israel, just like the children of Israel serve Yah through the priests. That's how we did in the past. Verse 3.
And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give you rest from your sorrow and from your fear and from the hard bondage wherein you were made to serve, that you shall take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers.
All right. So when you look at Babylon, physical Babylon is Iraq. The ecclesiastical Babylon is Rome. And the daughter of Babylon would be America. So Iraq will be Babylon. So you want to consider who is Iran. Iran in Hebrew is Paras. You look that up, that's the Persians. So start looking at these countries as these ancient nations and start looking at prophecy, and things start to fall into place with the Persians and Babylon, Iraq. Verse 6.
He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hinders. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at you, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you are laid down, no fellers come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for you to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto you, are you also become weak as we? Are you become like unto us?
All right. So these are the people of the earth that are witnessing the adversary, the devil, being taken down and saying, are you now like us? Are you now a man? Because for the adversary, the devil, for a spirit to be killed, it has to be turned into something mortal that can be killed. You can't kill a spirit.
Verse 11. Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your viols, the worm is spread under you, and the worms cover you.
All right. So
How
the
are
noise of your vials. So when you look at the adversary, the devil, he was like the anointed cherub. He was over the music. He dealt with the music. So his throat was like tabrets. Tabrets is those things from them organs, those big tubes. So the noise of his viols. So he's heavily involved with music. So now you can see why our music is so demonic. Look at this last, what they just had, the music awards with a dude, what's his name? Lil Tech Vert, whatever his name is. I purposely messed his name up. This dude is ridiculous. Look at how they dress, looking like straight demons.
Verse 12. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Elohim. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
All
I
right.
will
So
ascend.
one thing that you have to figure out, and we ain't gonna really go into this class that much, is where is the north? The way they got this they teaching us this globe, north is screwed. Magnets always show you true north. So once you understand what's really north and what nations are north, then you can see where these threats are coming from. That's why they created this globe, to confuse everybody.
Verse 14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Right, the bottomless pit, right? He gonna have to be on the side if it's on the bottomless. Go ahead.
They that see you shall narrowly look upon you and consider you, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
Okay, is this the man? So he's got to be changed and has to manifest himself into a man, a physical man, so that he can be punished.
Verse 17. That made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners.
So he has prisoners. He literally has prisoners, people that are trapped. And this is why Mashiach said, I am here to give sight to the blind and to free the prisoners. What prisoners is he talking about? The people that are prisoners of sin, that are trapped in darkness through ignorance, not knowing, not because they're wicked, they just want to be wicked people. That's your choice. But you got people that are literally trapped in wickedness, not knowing.
Verse 18. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory. every one in his own house. But you are cast out of your grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden underfoot. You shall not be joined with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land and slain your people.
So the adversary has his own land. Again, who is the prince of this world? He said the prince of this world comes, and he has nothing to do with YAH. So he has destroyed his land, which he has, and slain his people. So he has his own people, just like the Most High has his people. He has his chosen people. Well, guess what? The devil got his chosen people. And those people are in control right now, and they're showing you that they are his people by using his symbols, his activities, his actions that are against righteousness, killing babies and child pedophilia and homosexuality and all these things that are abominations to YAH. They come with death penalties. These are the things that they're showing that, hey, we about this. And how do you know the devil's people? He gonna let you know. Colon. Go ahead.
The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned.
So there go his people. Slain your people, colon. The seed of evil doers. Because if you're doing evil, you're yielding yourself to the adversary, the devil, because he is the inventor of that. So you're saying that the devil said, all this I'll give you, fall down and worship me. And he said, this is how you worship me. Do evil. That's who you serve. So he is going to turn around and kill those same people.
Verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
They're getting cut off. So if you do not separate yourself from this seed of evildoers, because we were all born into it. We were born doing wickedness, came in here because we didn't know no better. We have a knowledge of wickedness. We have to be taught a knowledge of righteousness. We're given a knowledge of wickedness. So we have to separate that. We have to choose life. We have to be deliberate with our choices. We can't stand with evildoers and say, well, I'm not like them. You have to separate. And if you're going to be amongst them, you have to speak out against it. How else is the angel going to know? There ain't going to be, well, he Israel, so he must be a righteous doer. That's not the mark.
Verse 22. For I will rise up against them, says Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant, and son and nephew, says Yahweh. I will also make it a possession for the bittern and pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, says Yahweh of hosts.
So that's the end of America. It's going to be underwater, destroyed. All right, so now we're looking at some of the judgments coming out here. Assyria, okay? So Assyria is Asher. Asher is like Mesopotamia. So this is the Persian, Babylonian, right in between area. So let's see what he has to say about them.
Verse 24. Yahweh of hosts has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand. That I will break the Assyrian in my land, and upon the mountains tread him underfoot. Then shall his yoke depart from off them, and his burden depart from off their shoulders.
All right, so here's what you want to key on. I will break the Assyrian in my land. You have those people in his land right now getting murdered by the Europeans. So yeah, we don't stand for anybody innocent getting murdered, but this is prophetic. Tom Sheep.
Verse 26. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For Yahweh of hosts has purposed, and who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out, and who shall turn it back? Verse 28. In the year that King Ahaz died was this burden. Rejoice not you, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote you is
now
broken.
You talk about Palestine. We getting into Palestine, Pelasheth. So all this stuff that's going over there in Palestine, you were warned. Start back at 29.
Rejoice not you, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote you is broken.
All right. So rejoice not, right? Why would Palestine be rejoicing? Could it be because the children of Israel are gone? They're in captivity. And now we can just go in and take the land? I'm sorry, brother. Start back at 29 again.
Rejoice not you, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote you is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a very fiery flying serpent. And the firstborn of the poor shall feed, and the needy shall lie down in safety, and I will kill your root with famine, and he shall slay your remnant.
And that's what's going on right now. It ain't bullets and missiles killing folks in Palestine. It's famine and disease.
Verse 31. Howl, O gate, cry, O city, you whole Palestina are dissolved. For there shall come from the north a smoke, and none shall be alone in his appointed times.
So what could come from the north? Interesting. What would be north of Palestine? Wouldn't that be like Europe and the United Nations up that way?
Verse 32. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation that Yahweh has founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it?
Amen. So all this stuff is going on. Yeah, like I said earlier, we gonna speak out against wickedness that's happening across the earth, but we not finna, lose any sleep, because this is prophetic. Ain't nobody innocent. Where we don't want to see no children, no women, no non-warriors, non-military people getting killed in war. At the same time, we don't forget that y'all were the people that made a covenant together. We're confederate together. Y'all work with these same Grecians to get us up out of here. And Pelasheth, the Philistines, that's the Canaanites. That's even worse than the Babylonians. You're the ones that we can't even make covenant with. So they're the ones mixing in that area. And that's where you get the term Arab from, because Arab means mixed. So you got Esau mixing with a lot of people, mixing with Canaan, mixing with the Syrians, mixing with the Babylonians and the Persians. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 9. Yechezkel chapter 9. Because just because we not in the hottest part of the war right now, don't think that the decisions ain't being made. Your action or inaction is being recorded, not only by the government in this surveillance act that's surveilling all of us, but the real government, the heavenly government, is also marking all this stuff down of what your stance is. And your stance is going to be in your actions and in your mouth. And they better line up, and they better line up with righteousness. So Ezekiel, Yekezkiel chapter 9.
Ezekiel chapter 9 and verse 1. He cried also in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, every man, even every man with destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lies toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with the writer's inkhorn by his side, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar.
All right, so the angels, right? They're appearing like as men. The messengers, they call them the watchers in Enoch. They sit back and they watch. And a lot of these angels, their whole job is just to write down what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're thinking for judgment. Because Israel, you are witnesses. So what's your witness? What's your testimony? This stuff has been written down. And when you die, that testimony is sealed. A testimony is only enforced when the death of the testator, because now it can't be changed. You can't change your testimony once you're dead. But I can live today and say, you know what? Yesterday I said that, I'd never fall, but you know what? I was wrong. I was prideful. I'm still alive. Praise Yah. So let's see what he's going to write.
One second. Okay, verse 3. And the glory of Elohim of Yasharal was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof.
All right. So go mark all the men of Israel that are speaking out, that are crying out, that are sighing, that are being afflicted by all this abomination that's going on. These are people that have taken a stance. You best believe these people ain't involved in abomination. So he's even writing down the people that are behind closed doors and the people that are really suffering like, man, how are you feeling? You enjoying it? When this wickedness goes on, when they're mistreating our people, when they're mistreating innocent people of other nations or whatever the case may be, what does it make you do? Do you sigh? Do you cry out to the Father and pray and help and stand in the heat, risk getting kicked out of school, risk getting shot by the police or whatever the case may be for wickedness? Or you just sitting at home in the comfort of your house watching the NFL draft or whatever the case may be? These angels watching this. You think you're going to sit next to the brother that had blood, sweat, and tears? You think you're going to sit next to Abraham in the kingdom, in the millennial kingdom, 1,000-year peace? You think you're going to sit next to Isaiah, Jeremiah? You think you're going to be in the presence of Mashiach when all this wickedness was going on and you took no stance? All you was concerned with was your bill paid. Does that make sense? You have took a stance. The devil said, listen, just don't do righteousness. That's all I care about. Tomshi?
To the others he said in mine hearing, go you after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have you pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house.
All right. So he's slaying old, young, maids, little children, and women. What did they do? What that young person did, or the child, the little children, what that woman did? All she did was serve her husband and cook, take care of her family. What she did? Well, that man of that house, he ain't had that mark. He wasn't serving Yah. He wasn't a covering for his house. So when the strong man was binded up, so when the robber came, no problem. He went through the house and killed everybody. Because the man of that house wasn't a man of Yah. He wasn't standing for righteousness. So if you have a husband and that's his stance, is whatever, okay, you can sit back and say, well, I'm going to serve Yah in my mind and everything going to be all right. Nah, that's your covering. That's your priest. That's like thinking, well, I'm going to paint the walls real nice and I'm going to keep everything. I'm going to clean the floors. I'm going to do everything, but the roof is messed up. Who cares if your wall is good, your carpet is clean? You have no roof. Eventually it's going to rain. So we have to work together as families. And men, if you have wives, you have kids, you can't stand by because that's going to be the death of your family. Go ahead.
Verse 7.
Hold on.
And
We got a question.
Yep.
Hold on. Yeah, while they're alive. But when judgment comes, that's not the case. So yes, you are covered while you are alive, because now your child would be unclean. Your child is clean, but that's in the grace period. This grace period is up, so judgment comes. That grace ain't here when judgment comes. Either you covered or you not. You had another question? You said you not what? No, we're not talking about after. We talking about death. This is death. He said kill. That's a judgment. Then after you die, then there's another judgment, which is for the second death. So this death right here, where you say slay all these old young, he's not talking about slay dead old young people. That's irrelevant. He's talking about slaying alive people here. These alive people, these old, young maids, little children, women, all that, they had coverings, husbands. And if your husband was believing, then you would have been covered. But if your husband is non-believing, when it's time for judgment, that ain't going to save you. Because all those houses, and how you know, let's go to precedents. What about all Haman's children, the dude from Esther, the Edomite? They didn't line them all up and say, well, does the wife believe, the husband believe? Nah, you kill with your family. When you make decisions, what about King David and his child? What a child had to do with it? Was the mother was believing? It's irrelevant. Yah killed him. Nah, but that's not what that's saying. We're talking about here when he's talking about slaying everyone that did not have this mark. Now you can lose.
Salakia, brother.
Go ahead, brother.
Could we hear the question that the sister asked?
The sister was asking that, she was saying, getting a better understanding of how that related to Corinthians when it talks about the non-believing spouse is covered by the believing spouse. And how does that relate to this situation where you seeing husbands, wives, children, all these? Because this little child, he not worshiping. He's a little child. He don't know what to do. Why he getting killed? Because that father, he said, go kill all the men that did not have, go put a mark on all the men that did not sigh or cry for the abominations that were done. That was in verse 4, right? And then after that, he didn't say put a mark on everybody. He said all the men, right? Put a mark upon the foreheads of the men. He didn't say the women, but yet you're seeing slay old, young, maids, little child. What that little child did, what the maid did, it's what they covering didn't do. So yeah, in the life, during the grace, if you have a believer, then you would have been covered, one or the other. But when it's Yah's day of judgment and he's coming to collect and he say, now kill all these people. Now, when you go before the Father, you lose your life in the flesh. That's not the end of the story. You still got to go for judgment. All right, praise Yah. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to verse 7, where we left off.
I have a question, basically to kind of let me back off what the sister was asking. But isn't it also the case that if you look at like those households where they weren't following Yah, where they were following after wickedness, with the man being the covering, doesn't the house follow suit? The rest of the house follows suit to his leadership?
In patriarchal households, absolutely. But
Right,
you
right.
have
So
other
wouldn't that
nations.
mean that his I mean, even though wouldn't that mean that the children would be raised to be wicked and the wife would be
Exactly.
following wickedness as well?
Exactly. Because they're not sighing out. They're not crying
Right.
out. It doesn't mention that. So I mean, they're thinking that that's okay. So they're cursing the children. That's a good point.
Okay, yeah. Because I was thinking about other instances, like when I think it was King Saul who was told to kill the Amorites and to destroy everything,
Mhm.
and in that situation there was also kind of a dictate to destroy everything. And I was thinking along those lines, and it's like, well, why would y'all? Because you would think that, okay, well, these people would be innocent and they're kind of just guilty by association in a sense. But um, when you look at the fact that, okay, well, these people are living in a wicked culture, and that, there's no telling what kind of wicked things these people are doing and what they're also passing down through their generations with kind of idol worship and stuff.
Absolutely. And that's why, we don't understand that our God is a man of war. He not like your God. I'm not saying you, Brother Cassette. I'm talking about the other nations. He ain't like your God. Our God, a man of war. So when we go to war and the Most High tell us to kill everything off, it's for a reason. Because you kill off all the men and leave the children, right? What you think that child gonna grow up? When he grow up knowing that these nation of people killed off my dad, he gonna grow up and be an enemy. That's hatred in his heart. So y'all saying, look, this seed is not gonna come back in righteousness. They not gonna convert, wipe them out. And furthermore, Yah didn't wipe out all of the Canaanites. He left some of them, but he said, as far as the mandate, go wipe them all out. So if the Most High tell you to do it, that's righteousness. There's a reason he's saying to do that. He's the creator. But as far as a human being to say, well, I don't like everyone, I'm just gonna kill everybody, that's murder. That's a whole different story. That's the difference between killing and murder. You are killing somebody because you're saving a life, and Yah's giving you instruction, which is saving your life and maybe the life of your nation. That's killing. But when you kill unjustly and wickedly, that's murder. Thou shalt not murder. Those two different things. You kill an animal, eat, you ain't murdered that animal. You eating. Different situation. You going out there just hunting animals down and putting their head on you done murdered that animal. You ain't even eat them. Completely different situation. But that's a good point, brother. So we had what, verse 8?
Verse 8 in no, verse 7 in Ezekiel chapter 9 and verse 7. And he said unto them, defile the house and fill the courts with the slain, go you forth. And they went forth and slew in the city. And it came to pass while they were slaying them, and I was left, that I fell upon my face and cried and said, Ah, Yahweh Elohim, will you destroy all the residue of Yasharal, and you're pouring out of your fury upon Jerusalem?
And you see why he crying out? Because we getting killed. He says, start at my house first and start with the ancients. So he's slaying elders and kids and wives and maids, concubines, all they just getting slayed. And everybody like, man, you gonna kill off all of Israel? Israel was wicked. So judgment starting with us first. And when he finished with us, you think he gonna turn around to them Gentiles and be like, you know, I know you wicked, but you ain't know no better. Nah. Wickedness got to be wiped off this earth so that the righteous can live in peace.
Verse 9. Then said he unto me, the iniquity of the house of Yasharal and Yehuda is exceeding great, and the land is full of blood, and the city is full of perverseness. For they say, Yahweh has forsaken the earth, and Yahweh sees not.
And that's what they say in the land right now. That's the way they have a gay parade over there. Are you kidding me?
And as for me also, my eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense their way upon their head. And behold, the man clothed with linen, which had the inkhorn by his side, reported the matter, saying, I have done as you have commanded me.
I have done as you commanded me. That angel not going to come back and say, well, I liked him. You know, it wasn't really his fault. Nah. Did he do what he's supposed to do? Did that family have a covering? How were they living? Were they fine with the abominations that were going on? Hey, listen, I'm going to blame my husband. Nah. Man, woman, child, maids, little children. You best believe, look at Abigail. Abigail was like, look, I don't want no parts of this wickedness. She spoke out. And she saved her house. So you can't sit back and think you just going to be like, well, that's my husband. He wicked. It ain't me. I ain't really doing nothing. It don't work that way. You're going to have to speak out. Let's go to Malachi chapter 3. Because if he not getting you that quick, oh, you best believe they not forgetting. They got a book of remembrance. They don't teach about that on Sunday, about the book of remembrance. They go to Malachi chapter 3 and they talk about tithes. They ain't talking about that book of remembrance, though. It ain't a book of remembrance of who paid tithes. That's not what it said. But they love Malachi chapter 3 so they can get you with them tithe money. We're not even going to read that. Drop down to verse 11. We're going to read 11 through 18. Malachi chapter 3.
All right. In verse 11. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, says Yahweh of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for you shall be a delightsome land, says Yahweh of hosts.
All right, so all nations shall call you blessed. If the people in the state of Israel are protesting against their leadership, they're letting you know this land is not blessed. Our leadership is about to get us blown. You best believe they're not afraid of Palestine. They not over there protesting because we're afraid of Palestine. We don't want war with them. They're afraid of Iran. They don't want to get a nuclear missile shot up into their behinds. Well, a bomb shelter ain't going to help you. They don't want to be dragged into this. So they protest and look, get this dude up out of here.
Verse 13, your words have been stout against me, says Yahweh. Yet you say, what have we spoken so much against you? You have said, it is vain to serve Elohim. And what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance and that we have walked mournfully before Yahweh of hosts?
And they so much that they said, we gonna forget about the ancient writings. We just gonna talk something and make up a whole new writing and just say it's verbal. Because them ways of Yah, look how it ended up for the real children of Israel. So they say it's not, nah, it ain't gonna help you to keep these commandments. That's nothing. That's old. That's biblical times. Okay.
Verse 15, and now we call the proud happy, yea, they that work wickedness are set up, yea, they that tempt Elohim are even delivered.
So we thinking it's all good for them because we looking at their timeline. They in San Tropez, they in Ibiza, Spain, and they in Dubai, swimming with the sharks now. We thought everything was all good. Whoa, wait a minute. Things starting to change. We started seeing how wicked these people are, and they're being set up and everything is working out for them. Nah, it's not.
Brother, if I could just offer one thing on this point, especially regarding social media and, the way we look at things, not to get off topic or anything, but just, to help people calibrate, their outlook and to remember, that the wickedness that, we've seen that we're reading about our ancestors going through, that very wickedness is still present today. And, one thing to consider is that, for instance, like when it comes to social media is basically mediated through cameras, right? We use the camera to take pictures of ourselves and upload, things to the internet, right? And so when you think of the fact that if you're in a room of people, whenever you take a camera out, that room is going to change. Everyone's going to be acting differently. And so when you consider that fact and you consider, wait, every picture I'm seeing on the internet was taken with the camera. So I'm not really looking at reality as such, if you know what I mean. I'm looking at someone's, how would you say, not catered, but curated reality. That's the word, yeah. And
the film term would be framing and composition. That's what you're looking at. We're framing what we want to see, and we're setting the background with composition. And then you have action, which is the talent, the acting. And now we're basing what we want to show in that framing and compositioning based on the social response of acceptance, likes, hearts, comments. So we're not acting based upon what is right. We're acting based on democracy. Let's vote on what is good and what is bad. So we're being trained to be democratic when this Bible is not democratic. This word is not democratic. It don't care what you want to vote on. It's either you're going to do righteousness or wickedness. Ain't no in between. And we're being set up, everything being validated. They got a social credit score over there in Asia, where you based on your likes and how you get along, that's how you being credited. So how you think you're going to react? You're going to act on what society is going to tell you is going to benefit you. That way you can get lower prices. You can get in the head of the line, just like Black Mirrors, that episode. So you can get in an apartment. All of that got to be destroyed because our minds, we can't help it. It's shaped on acceptance or non-acceptance, one way or another. Because either we're acting a certain way because we got to have acceptance, or because we're so tired of trying to be accepted, we're acting away from it just to not be accepted. But either way, it's manipulation.
Malachi chapter 3 and verse 16. Then they that feared Yahweh spake often one to another, and Yahweh hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahweh, and that thought upon his name.
All right. So they that feared Yahweh spake often one to another. So that's what we talking about. We talking about this word. We talking about the wickedness that's going on in this earth. We talking about solutions. We talking about prophecy. What they talking about? The NFL draft, P. Diddy, new movie coming out, you know, the newest pair of shoes, carnality, Drake and whoever beefing on rap. That's what we talking about. But a book of remembrance is being written down. Oh, you being manipulated. Oh, okay, you over here. You speaking out. All right, let me protect this young man because the judgment is coming.
Verse 17. And they shall be mine, says Yahweh of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them as a man spares his own son that serves him. Then shall you return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serves Elohim and him that serves him not.
And we can't return because we don't know the difference between righteous and wicked. We learning that. And how does a dog or a beast learn right or wrong? With a stick. When they do something, get beat, pop. Okay, he ain't doing that no more. So as long as we're beasts, that's how we're going to keep learning at that level. We're going to keep getting that rod, whap, every time we do wrong. And that's love, so that we don't die. Let's go to Revelation chapter 3. Matter of fact, skip that. Let's go to Zephaniah chapter 1. Zephaniah chapter 1. Or Zephaniah chapter 1.
All right, Zephaniah chapter 1 and verse 1.
And this is why we can't sit around and not do nothing and think that there's not going to be a consequence. And this is also why to think if we stay out of the mix-up, stay out of the fights and hide in our rooms or our houses and act like we holy, but then appear righteous on internet, we ain't getting away with that.
Verse 1. The word of Yahweh which came unto Zephaniah the son of Cushi, the son of Gedaliah, the son of Amariah, the son of Hezekiah, in the days of Josiah the son of Ammon, king of Jehoiada. I will utterly consume all things from off the land, says Yahweh. I will consume man and beast. I will consume the fowls of the air and the fishes of the sea and the stumbling blocks with the wicked. And I will cut off man from off the land, says Yahweh. I will also stretch out my hand upon Jehoiada and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and I will cut off the remnant of Baal from this place in the name of the Chemarims with the priests.
All right, so all the idol worshipers. So Baal, Lord, all the Lord worshipers, right? The sun god worship, the religious out of Yahweh. He's cutting off the remnant of that. And all the idolatrous priests. That's what the Chemarims were.
Verse 5. And them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by Yahweh, and that swear by Malcolm.
So all the people that's coming out, oh yeah, I want to thank the Lord for this this award for this devil album I just put out. Oh, I want to thank God for all these people that want to put out the name and say like they worshiping the Most High Yah, but secretly they on housetops and they in them little Bohemian Grove, all them thing that Ryan Garcia was calling out, all them little places and little secret societies. You doing all that stuff behind closed doors. but you're using your celebrity on TV to act like you're a God-fearing man, a God-fearing woman, you're a Christian, you're this or that. But behind you making covenants with these organizations that are above the Most High. That's where you place in these organizations. Let's see how y'all deal with it.
Verse 5. And them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops, verse 6. And them that are turned back from Yahweh, and those that have not sought Yahweh, nor inquired for him.
Those that have not sought Yah, they sought the doctor, they sought TV, they sought the internet, they sought social media, they sought a priest, they sought everybody but the Most High. They sought everything that they could control in some kind of way with their money. They sought that instead of going to the source and saying, what do I need to do? No, that requires change. The only change you're concerned about is how much change you're going to get after you donate some money. Where my change at?
Verse 7. Hold your peace at the presence of Yahweh Elohim. For the day of Yahweh is at hand, for Yahweh has prepared a sacrifice, he has bid his guests. And it shall come to pass in the day of Yahweh's sacrifice, that I will punish the princes and the king's children, and all such as are clothed with strange apparel.
All right, so in that day of Yahweh's sacrifice, so this is the day where your grace period is up, payment due. The wages of sin is what? What's the wage of sin? Death. So payment is due now. Grace is up. You had a grace period to get that life together because you owe death. So let me get my life together. Payment is due. And he's going to the princes, the kings, all the people that were in position of power. All such as are clothed with strange apparel. Now, this strange clothing is your spirit. It's also strange clothes as well. Women dressing like men, men dressing like women, wearing, this tight, abominable clothing, causing men to lust after married women and married women to lust after men that are not theirs because you wearing these bicycle shorts and you a man, sweatpants with your thing hanging all out, all these things. That's strange apparel. But don't get it twisted. It's talking about not in the lack of a wedding garment for the wedding feast. The Holy Spirit, the Ruach. You got another spirit on you, another covering. Your covering is this demon spirit. Your covering is this other demon spirit.
Verse 9. And the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit.
So they leaping on the threshold. They dancing. They got the Holy Spirit like they do in them churches, right? They bankhead bouncing, getting down. But then they filling they masters' houses with violence and deceit. So they mastering Yah. They master whoever they working for. And even in that own organization they working with, it's full of violence and deceit.
Verse 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, says Yahweh, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. Howl, you inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will search Jerusalem with candles, and punish the men that are settled on their lees. They say in their heart, Yahweh will not do good, neither will he do evil.
So all you men of Jerusalem, the holy seed, he is going to search with a candle, with a light. You can't hide nowhere. You might be able to hide from me. I might not be able to find you with a candle. But Jerusalem is the body. He ain't just talking about the land of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the mother of us all. That's the assembly. These last two churches, Laodicea and Philadelphia, he's going to search them. That's why I skipped Revelation 3. It was really talking about Laodicea, which is hot or cold. Pick one. He gonna search them. And he gonna find all the people. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing. He ain't gonna do good. He ain't gonna bless me if I do good. He ain't gonna punish me if I do wrong. But Massa, he gonna pay me if I do evil. This organization, they gonna give me a beautiful wife if I join them. This camp gonna call me a captain if I join them and do evil. Okay, think you gonna hide from that? Let's stop right there. Let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to YAH chapter 45. YAH chapter 45, and we're going to read 5 through 25 for the conclusion. So YAH is starting with the house of faith first, because we have to make a decision first. Because when it goes down, the rest of the world has to have somebody to turn to. And if they can't turn to you, where are they going to turn? You the priests of Israel. You the priests of God. You the kings and queens of the earth. But you haven't chosen a stance. You still holding on to whatever the Gentiles doing. Now you causing innocent Gentiles that are on this side of the prophecy that are going to repent to follow you into a ditch because you wouldn't choose a side. So that's why he's going to start with us first. YAH chapter 45, and we're going to read verses 5 through 25 for the conclusion.
Verse 5.
1 second.
I am Yahweh.
Let me pull that up. Salakia. All right, go ahead, bro.
Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 5. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. There is no Elohim beside me. I girded you, though you have not known me.
All right, so this is not a contradiction. There is nobody besides Yahweh. Everybody else came from Yahweh. That's what that means. That's all that means. You say, oh, that means there's no Christ. Oh, so that means there's no angels either, right? That means there's no devil either, right? It don't make sense. A non-believer, if they speak not according to this law and testimony, there's no light in them. Verse 6.
That they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am Yahweh, and there is none else.
All right, so this is how you know that, all these doctrines are off about Africa is upside down and this part is this. He say right there, how you going to know where your east is and your west is? The rising of the sun. Everywhere you go in the world, the sun is going to rise in the east, it's going to set in the west. So you can kill a good 90% of these doctrines about Israel and Africa and Africa's upside down and all this other stuff. You can kill that easily with east and west. Your sun gonna rise in the east and gonna set in the west. That ain't never changed. Tomshi.
Verse 7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, Yahweh, do all these things.
All right, now if you look at the Hebrew, we ain't gonna go all into that. He allowed evil. He created light. He allowed the darkness. Different words. Verse 8.
Drop down, you heavens, from above, and let the skies pour down righteousness. Let the earth open, and let them bring forth salvation, and let righteousness spring up together. I, Yahweh, have created it. Woe unto him that strives with his maker. Let the potsherd strive with the potsherds of the earth. Shall the clay say to him that fashions it, what makest you? Or your work, he has no hands?
All right, so I would liken this to the end game, where after Mashiach has had his 1,000-year reign, and the devil is loosed for a little season, and he convinces the Gog and Magog and the wicked in the earth to all come against YAH. After we've been ruling for 1,000 years and you know that the Most High is true and that you have Abraham standing next to you and you can see Moshe across, and you let any spirit convince you to come against YAH. That's what I liken that to striving with your maker. Are you stupid? That's how lost we have to be and how imprisoned in the adversary, the devil, we have to be to strive with your creator. You do not have a leg to stand on. You will never win that battle. But some kind of way, a confusing spirit allowed you to believe that you could win that fight. And it sounds stupid to us, thinking that we'll ever turn against the Most High and get zapped out. It sounds real stupid, but yet we doing it right now as we speak every day. Striving with your creator. Your creator said, you must rest on the Shabbat. Why would he do that? Why would he make me, why would he tell me I can't eat this? Why would he tell me I can't do this? Or why would he tell me I can't put a phallic in my mouth? Okay, you striving with your creator. Verse 10.
Woe unto him that says unto his father, what begettest you? Or to the woman, what have you brought forth? Thus says Yahweh, the Holy One of Yasharal and his maker. Ask me of things to come concerning my sons and concerning the work of my hands, command you of me.
All right, so here's something that non-believers just cannot get. What does this mean to you? Thus says Yahweh, the Holy One of Yasharal and his maker. Who's the maker? Who's Yahweh? Who's the Holy One of Yasharal and the maker? There's multiple parties going on here. And if you think carnally, then you think that Yah is some kind of man where he can only be a physical person at once. Well, guess what? My house has multiple parts, but it's my house. It's the house of YAH. But the house of YAH also has wives, has kids, has relatives, has all that in the house of YAH. But there's multiple parts. A family got multiple parts, but there's a father, there's a mother, there's a child. So we think so carnally when it comes to something spiritual, and we try to use carnality to disprove something spiritual. That's simple. Once you see that approach, you know you're dealing with carnality. It shouldn't fool you.
Verse 12. I have made the earth and created man upon it. I, even my hands, have stretched out the heavens, and all their host have I commanded. I've raised him up in righteousness, and I will direct all his ways. He shall build my city, and he shall let go my captives, not for price nor reward, says Yahweh of hosts.
That's what his maker gonna do. That's the Holy One of Israel gonna get accomplished. And you best believe Mashiach ain't gonna come back and say, I did all this. I did this. I built this city. I built you. Just like when he was here on the earth, Yah did it. Just because he physically did something or was in charge of something physically done, it's only done because Yah said it needs to be done. Because when Yah says do it, it's done, period. So who did it? Yah did it. Because if Yah said it ain't going to be done, I don't care who you are or what power you have, it's not going to happen.
Verse 14. Thus says Yahweh, the labor of Egypt and merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabaeans, men of stature shall come over unto you, and they shall be yours. They shall come after you, in chains they shall come over, and they shall fall down unto you. They shall make supplication unto you, saying, surely Elohim is in you, and there's none else, and there is no Elohim.
All right. How are they going to know that if you have not taken no stance for Yah to set apart who his set apart people are? So look at the people he talking about. Egypt, slavery. The Ethiopians, slavery. Sabaeans, slavery. These are the people, these are the Africans that sold us into slavery. These same ones. The Ethiopians wanted to kill Moshe. Cush. So at the end of the day, all these Africans were the ones that were killing us as well. So while you on that African tip or that racist against white people tip, remember all these nations came against you. And in all these nations, you have good people and bad people, just like in the nation of Israel, where you got 2/3 of us wicked.
Verse 15. Verily, you are an Elohim that hides himself, O Elohim of Yasharal, the Savior. They shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols. But Yasharal shall be saved in Yahweh with an everlasting salvation. You shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. For thus says Yahweh that created the heavens, Elohim himself that formed the earth and made it. He has established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am Yahweh, and there is none else.
All right, so he formed it to be inhabited. So all this, oh my goodness, the earth is just going to be destroyed forever and we all going to die. And man, get that crap out of your head. He created the earth to be inhabited. Yeah, people going to die, not everybody. The wicked going to die. So instead of worrying about, oh my goodness, this meteor going to come and it's going to kill us all, start worrying, yeah, people going to die. But worry about serving the Most High and learning righteousness, so you ain't got to worry about an asteroid or the giant earthquake or the sun spur going to come down here and fry everybody. Let Yah be your fear and your dread. They creating this so that the powers that can be can make you run to them for safety and secure, run to their technology. But they showing you where their fear is. They building holes in the ground. They building bunkers because they know they can't stop Yah's judgment.
Verse 19. I have not spoken in secret in a dark place of the earth. I said not unto the seed of Jacob, seek you me in vain. I, Yahweh, speak righteousness. I declare things that are right. Assemble yourselves and come. Draw near together, you that are escaped of the nations. They have no knowledge that set up the wood of their graven image, and pray unto an Elohim that cannot save.
So this is what you're supposed to be doing. Assemble yourselves and come and draw near together, you that are escaped of the nations. So if you escaped the Gentile understanding, the Gentile religions, gather with those people, because we have to come together so prophecy can be fulfilled. You're gathering with those people, showing that I am not with the nations. I'm not with the ones that set up wood and, the big cross that they got up there, or the graven image, the big giant rock that they circling around. That's literally church. Church is cirque. Going in a circle. That's worship. That's demonic worship. That's what they doing over there.
Verse 21. Tell you and bring them near. Yea, let them take counsel together. Who has declared this from ancient time? Who has told it from that time? Have not I, Yahweh? And there is no Elohim else beside me, a just Elohim and a Savior. There is none beside me.
So there is none. So just because Yah decides to use his right arm to save you instead of his foot or instead of his left arm or his leg, who are you to say that this is idol worship? If you take Mashiach and worship him and say he is Yahweh, Now you an idol worshiper. Because he told you there's no others beside him. But if you worship Yah through the way he tells you to worship, through his word, now you are a believer.
Verse 22. Look unto me, and be you saved, all the ends of the earth. For I am Elohim, and there is none else.
Stop looking to the Euro-Gentile to save you. Stop looking to religion to save you, especially when you can put a date on that religion. Look to Yah. Knock, and he will answer. Seek, and you will find. If Yah says this is what is going to happen, it's not coming back void, period. But confusion has us believing Yah's words is coming back void. That although he said no weapon formed against us will prosper, some kind of way it's going to prosper if we don't listen to the government, if we don't listen to my boss.
Verse 23. I have sworn by myself, the word is going out of my mouth in righteousness and shall not return, that unto me every knee shall bow, every tongue shall swear. Surely shall one say, in Yahweh have I righteousness and strength. Even to him shall men come, and all that are incensed against him shall be ashamed.
There it is. Surely shall one say, in Yahweh have I righteousness. I have none of my own, and my strength is through Yah. That's who people come into. So when you're posting little memes of you out there whipping white people with chains and whips, talking about that's what you're going to do in the kingdom, are you in righteousness? Because that's when they will come to you. Because if not, you're going to be part of the 66.66% of us wiped out at the border, not even stepping into the land, wiped out at the border. And all that are incensed against that man that says, Yah's my righteousness, that's my strength, all of them are going to be ashamed because they laughed at you. They wished on your downfall. They had their good old time when now it's your time. If you take a stance of righteousness. Finish it about.
In Yahweh shall all the seed of Yasharal be justified and shall glory.
That's our glory. We're not going to glorify in King David. We're not going to glorify in Christ. We're going to glorify in Yahweh. That's who justifies us. His law. So again, you're watching Israel. You're literally watching the entire world take their stance. We watched it in 2019 when they took their stance. And now we watching it after the sign of Jonah. We watching the world take their stance. Where's your stance? You can't stand with the world. The world gonna have to stand with you. So let's go through some comments before we close out. Before we do any last questions or comments, by all means, chime in. Whether you agree or disagree or you have any information, chime in. It's an open forum. And Shabbat Shalom to my brother Aaron Hicks. Good to see you, family. Says the children of the devil are great at Hegelian dialect. Notice when they create a problem in the earth, the answer they present to said problem is never follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High Yahweh. You absolutely right. Every time. It's never that because the devil has to be able to accuse you. I think Ryan Garcia, it's funny. He even came out, the boxer. He said, listen, the devil has to do things in plain sight. He got to tell you what he's doing so you can choose one or the other. Now, he might say it sarcastically so you feel like it's something else, but either way, he going to make it in plain sight. So you got to choose, just like the Shabbat. Seventh day. They could have changed, they changed it to Sunday, right? But they never changed the order of the days. They never said, well, we're going to make Sunday the seventh day. No, they still keep it the first day of the week on your calendars. Still there. All right, you had a comment? Okay, and definitely let's keep the Hicks family out there in Tornado Alley. Let's keep them in prayers, and all those Hebrews that are in those locations around the world, which are in threat of death and judgment on this place. So let's definitely keep them lifted up in prayer. I know we mentioned earlier, a couple months ago, we were praying for baby Legend, a newborn baby that was struggling in the hospital. I'm proud to give a excellent praise report. Our prayers were heard. He has come out of ICU after several months and is in rehabilitation. So, you know, when we put these prayers out, man, we ain't nobody, but together, the Most High will hear us. When we have one of your kids is crying and complaining, talking about we hungry, man, sit your behind down. I ain't finished cooking. But if your whole family is crying, complaining, we ain't ate, that father gonna move a little bit quicker. So that's why we come together for these prayer reports and these praise reports to pray that Yah will hear our prayers. So praise Yah. Again, we are Savior Word of Yah, Tabernacles of the Congregation of Israel. If we have missed any of your questions or comments, you can reach out to us on our website at saviorwordofyah.org. Again, we want to thank you to the brothers and sisters that are tithing and offering to us to help us. Again, you know, like I said on Bible study, you know, I hate to use that word pride, but I can, if I would say a downfall of me is pride. I do not like to ask for help, to ask anybody for anything, but we're trying to put this application out. Do you see how they're cutting our streams? They're cutting us off. We're trying to be independent where we can put out an application where you can get it directly to your phone. So as long as the internet is out, you will be able to access this information. So if the Most High has put it in your heart, he's giving you a means or an opportunity to tithe towards our nation building activities, reach out, help. You can donate on our website on saviorwordofyah.org, hit the donate button, or you can donate on YouTube, you hit the donate button, or you can donate directly into our Cash App. And our Cash App is $SWORD ATL, S word for Savior Word ATL. And your money will go towards our nationalistic building activities. Also, we are making some huge strides on our repatriation efforts. We have a brother that is in Gambia now, which Gambia is one of the few African countries that are peaceful. You know, the police don't even have guns. It's just a way of life for us now, and there's a lot of repatriation. We have brothers that are from here in the States that have relocated there now that are building houses. The brother told me for about $20,000, you can have a 3-bedroom house with your land in peace as you prepare to enter into Israel, because we see what's happening in Israel. Israel, not the place you want to go right now, because you go over there, you're going to be fleeing to the mountains pretty soon. So we need to get back to the land through the safe entry points. And, you know, Ghana is one place to go to. If that's how you're going to get in, cool. But that's also the last place that sent us out in slavery. So I don't know if you want to go back to the same people that sold you into slavery. You might as well stay in America. That's the case. But either way, if that's your entryway into Africa, once you get into Ghana, you can get anywhere you need to go. So we have places for you to go. We have places in Tanzania. We have places in Jordan for you to go. Egypt, we got all entry points for you to safely repatriate back into the continent. So that's where all our donations are also going towards as well. So we're going to be putting together a more formalized way for families to start investing in their property, investing in building out the land for us as we prepare to flee this Babylonian captivity. So Yah's will, we will see you for our Bible study on Tuesday night on fourth day at 8 p.m. So everybody enjoyed their Shabbat, and Yah's will, we'll see you then. Shabbat Shalom.